I'm Peats, and we are in Bloody River in Stonefort Estate, and we are in the gorge right up in the canyon. We are not at Bloody Point. We are in Bloody River, approaching the massacre area where the Caribs were massacred by the French and the British. I know a lot about Bloody River. Bloody Point is the promontory at the beach, at the shoreline. But Bloody River is what I know. They said it's called Bloody River because when the Caribs were slaughtered here, the river ran blood for 7 days. And when I was brought here for the first time, they were telling me if I look carefully, I can still see blood stains on the stones. So I know this is Bloody River, and that's how I know it. Bloody Point does not begin to tell the story. I think they gave the Caribs such a bad rap. They obviously, for someone who thinks just a little more than normal, he comes up here and he looks into the gorge. He knows that the Caribs were not warlike. They didn't have a thing about war. If you're a warrior, you wouldn't congregate to plan a raid in a confined place like this. But you can understand why they came here. The place is inspirational. It must have been a spiritual motive that drove them here. So when you come here and you experience it yourself, and then you read in the books something totally opposite, it makes you begin to wonder what kind of world you live in. Who are the people who write these books? So I know this place has fired me and made me look deeper and stop just being satisfied with what is written in books. So this place has a lot to do with who I am today. I realized that the Caribs had nothing to do with war. If they were warlike, they knew these hills much better than the French and the English. They knew this place. It's where they lived. And so they could have ambushed and outsmarted and outmaneuvered and killed them off. I'm sure that the English and the French could not have settled without the help of the Caribs. And in 2000, there was this visit by the Caribs from other places during the Carib Festa, and I sat and I listened to them talk. And it was exactly what I thought. Exactly what I thought. They knew nothing. The war had nothing. There was nothing about war. In fact, they even said there was nothing about no woman betraying nothing. And then I realized that our culture, or the culture that we have inherited, they look down on women. And so that is why they would say a woman did that. It's because of the culture that we were channeled through. And so it is helpful for me to in like positioning myself, gaining my place in the world, that I come here very often, not as much as I used to, but I learn a lot from being here. And I understand too that people before me, like Sir Probin Innes and others, would come here to study. Well, I didn't know that when I used to come here. But I understand now why. Yeah. Challenges has produced quite a number of leaders, national leaders. As just mentioned, Sir Pope Innes, his brother Vincent, Edward Hughes, who became chief of police. There's a matron Welch, Bronte Welch, and even now the Minister of Sport, Glenn Phillip, is from this area. Dr. Charles Warner, he also studied in this. So the spirit of resilience and self-reliance that has characterized Challengers. Challengers is known to be independent, but I don't think that's the correct word. Because we are kind of isolated from other villages, and so we were very interdependent. So I think resilience and self-reliance would be a better self-sufficiency would be better words to describe us. The Caribs, when they were here in 2000, said that they escaped from a beach. And that's where we talk about Bloody Point. There's a bay down at Challengers. The hurricane in 1989, Hugo, destroyed that beach. It's never come back. And it has destroyed quite a bit of our culture. Because that self-reliance that I'm talking about, that self-dependence, that beach helped. Because just as the Caribs kept their canoes there, we also kept fishing boats there. And so Challengers people, they would work on the sugarcane field, in the sugarcane fields for cash, and they would work the mountain slopes to grow their food, vegetables, and they would also fish in the sea. So we had it all made here, and so it was just like a self-contained economy. And when I was growing up, there was never any unemployment in Challengers, because the people are so resourceful. There are masons, carpenters, there are contractors from Challengers. Mr. Hilton Phillip, he employed people. So young men who didn't want to work in the cane fields would work with Mr. Phillip. If you didn't want to, and then the trains, sugar trains passed through Challengers, and the road passed through Challengers, and the shipping lanes passed through Challengers, and all the planes passed through above Challengers, and so we understood everything. One of my brothers migrated to the British Virgin Islands, yeah, and he told me he was able to explain to the class the mechanization in the cane fields, how they had mechanical loaders, tractors, and cranes, and then when you go to the factory and all that. So years later, when I was at university in England, I was taught that St. Kitts was an industrialized economy because of the amount of machinery that's involved in economic activity there. And that's when it really hit me that we were very privileged to grow up in a society such as this, and particularly in Challengers, and being able particularly to come to this place and understand that the truth is always far from what is recorded or what is written, and that we are whole in ourselves. There's nothing deficient about us, about Challengers people, nothing deficient about being black or being from Africa. Nothing deficient about growing up in a small village. In fact, it might have been an advantage. And so I'm glad that this program is being made and it's being recorded, so you can hear it from firsthand from someone who has lived the Carib experience here. The Carib, we have inherited from the Carib a spirit of resilience, self-reliance, and even though they're not around, we can still feel, you can still come here and understood what they were about, the kind of people they were, and the level of their civilization. And so civilization takes on a new meaning when you come here, because the history books taught us that the Caribs were uncivilized. But today I don't even think that we have approached the kind of harmony they had with nature. So, and we're just beginning to learn to appreciate that we are here to take care of the environment. And so we now have the Ministry of Environment. Imagine that. The Caribs surpassed that a long time ago. So knowing this, going and being able to perceive this from just being here and experiencing the atmosphere, getting the spirit of the place, you can define words or terms like civilization better. You have your own unique understanding of what a civilized society ought to be and how we ought to live, and that we must live in harmony with each other. I'm sure that the Caribs loved the Europeans, but the Europeans were not about living in harmony with culture, with the environment. They were about gold and silver. And they would get it by any means necessary. So what is civil about that? Well, this side, to me, transcends any other social, what must I say, any attempt to record our history and any attempt to define Challengers people, and by extension, St. Kitts people. The first local governor hails from Challengers. How is it that this little, in fact the first two, so how is it that this little place has produced this kind of personality? How? It started right here. So it's important that pictures are taken in the gorge just like this, so that even though you cannot communicate the spirit, the feeling that you get here, maybe someone will look at the pictures and see the sunlight filtering through the trees, and see the butterflies fluttering in the sunlight, and see the hanging vines and so forth. Maybe that would let them know, well, that's a unique spot. That's a place that fostered civilization. Our heritage from them is spiritual. The spirit is here. If you're a sensitive person, if you are a person who's spiritualized, if I can coin a term, and you walk up this place, you cannot help but being struck by the powers, the inspirational powers that come here. I would like it to be not just a place for tourists. When I say tourists, I mean foreign tourists. I mean it should be a place for domestic tourism first. And then you can think about people from the foreign countries. In my days when I was growing up, lots of domestic tourism happened right here in Challenges. They would come in trucks, church groups, school groups, and so forth, and they would spend a day on Challenges on Stonefoot pasture. And you'd think, how can they spend a day in Challenges? Well, there were so many things to do. They can go on the beach, they can come up here and see the Carib and get lessons in history, or they can climb right into the mountains and at the source, at the catchment up there, and they can see the water lines. They can learn a lot about infrastructure from going up into these hills. So they can spend a whole day in Challenges, not aimlessly, but in wholesome activity. This could be easily restored because there are many. You can hike. There are hiking places you can go to. The beach couldn't be restored. I've often said that we should put the beach back in, because the Carib story about how they escaped from the beach, from Challenges, you wouldn't be able to understand it unless there was a beach. Besides, Challenges people are seafaring people. When we were growing up, it would be very shameful for a boy not to be able to swim. I learned to swim well before I was 10 years old. And so that is gone because the beach is gone. So we do not have fishermen from Challenges anymore. So it's not just the beach that has been eroded, it's a whole part of our heritage and our identity and who we are. And so when the tourist ships come, and we can't take tourists out on the sea. We can't offer them some of what is available on the sea here in Challenges. That is gone. And if we're into tourism and we can't see that it's important to put the beach back in, it just takes a few rocks on the headland. And what that would do too is also curb the erosion from the sea of the play field, of the football field, because it is being eroded. Columbus, they say he was the first European to arrive here. Before my time, I think they used to use the word discover, but in my time, he was just one of the people who came. The Europeans were just one of the people who came. And so he's not revered. I do not revere him or people in my generation, maybe as much as Emile would, or the generation before me. The white people came, they came with a different mindset, a different attitude, a different way of life. They even brought their own diseases. So it's part of me. I am some percentage white. My father is a mulatto, and my grandfather was an even whiter mulatto, if I could call it that. So I have white ancestry in my blood. One of my brothers, your complexion, two of them. So I accept that that is part of our history. There's nothing we can do to change it. However, there is no animosity in me for anybody of any race. We are all one race, a human race. And I think that was the dominant attitude here in this river, in this gorge, in 1492. I think when Columbus arrived and the Europeans arrived, they met a civilized people, people who welcomed their guests and treated them like gods. In fact, that's what the Bible says. That's how we should treat our guests.